Welcome back to the channel and a new video. Straight on with the Volvo, and probably bit of a strange one to start this video. Thank you to everybody that actually put in the messages the name of the Volvo Saab breakers, because I genuinely have never heard of them, didn't know they existed, and I went straight online and found them, guys. Volvo and Saab breakers. And this is quite handy as well. If you're working on a car and don't know what it's called, want a picture of the part and you don't know what it's called, just send us a picture. So you send a picture of something and they'll come back with what it is and whether they've got it or not and how much it is. These guys, this is not sponsored, not at all, are in Nottingham, and I rang them up and gave them a list of every part we needed for this car. Now, they didn't have them all in stock, but they have cars coming in daily, so they're going to stay in touch with me. Full airbag kit, half the price of what it would be anywhere else. And yes, guys, I just found that rattling around in there. There's going to be one screw left over on this airbag kit. So I've got the dashboard, ECU box, stop-start battery box with a new stop-start battery, brand new second-hand one. Driver's airbag, seat belts, curtain airbags, knee airbags. Chassis cut. Let's just move that. We're only going to be using this cap, but they've sent us all of that just in case. And actually there's another battery box on there, isn't there? It does look slightly different to that one. So full airbag kit and the structural part that we need. And of course some of the plastics. So still looking for a front wing for this one and a front panel. I think Chris is going to have a go at that bonnet, because the second-hand bonnet is £400 with a bit of damage on it, and it looks worse than that. He said we'll have a little play of it. If we can do it, we can do it. If we can't, we can't. We'll have to find one for it. But for the meantime, I mean, this car looks a mess inside. Both curtains gone. In fact, all of the seat belts have gone. Both seat belts. The only airbags that haven't gone off are the seat airbags, if it's even got them. But you've got steering wheel, knee airbag, passenger airbag, and both curtains. So I'm going to concentrate on getting them done today. It's one of it's a big job, isn't it, repairing it, and it's a big job changing that airbag kit. Don't normally do it round this way, but of course we're waiting for parts and we want to crack on with it. I've not ever done a Volvo. I've never ever changed an airbag set in a Volvo. So I've just turned this up this way and I'm going to familiarise myself with everything. It doesn't look like you need to take the frame out because you've got the hooks on it here. And then of course this one's out of the car. Everything's exposed that's going to need to be undone. So I'm just going to pull this out, crack on and see if we can get this airbag kit swapped out. Again, it's all the airbags out of the container. We're trying to keep that one nice with a flow. And you're going to see this video before you see the next TT video. But Chris is in there working on that at the moment. Got the wheels there. Anyway, let's carry on. Let's get on with it. So from me and Chris, guys, some advice. Never buy a car without checking it using Car Vertical. There's a link in the description and the code SR10 can be used from any browser. So of course we checked this one when we bought it. Volvo V40 2016. Theft, you can see clearly highlighted there in green, so that's okay. Odometer the same, financial and legal the same, and damaged, you can see there exactly the same. There's no issues at all with this car, guys. If there was an issue, straight away it would come up in amber on the right hand side in one of those ticks. And if you don't want to go through the whole process of the whole check, you're out and you're buying the car and you want to quickly do a check on it, at the top there you've got overview, theft, odometer, financial, damaged, market value, emissions, specs, timeline, etc. So you can click straight on timeline and it says 10 records found there. So last manufacturer's record, MOT history, ownership changes, services, etc, etc. They all come up on there. And of course you can download this report, keep it, and then when you sell your car on, you can show the new owner what you did when you purchased it and the fact that it's all clear. I want to thank Car Vertical once again for the continued support on the channel. So straight into the middle of the yard so I can get all the way around the car. The battery off, very, very important, a little cover there. And then straight into the car, removing everything out of the inside of it so that I can lay down in the back and concentrate on trying to get that roof lining out the way, just so that we can remove those curtain airbags. They're kind of blocking the view at the moment, so let's try and get that out. So the quality of Volvo, like I said, this is the first one I've done. And I'm not saying it's really difficult, but it is going to be very, very time consuming, guys. So you've got wiring looms that run down both sides of the head lining. And it actually looks to me, well, I think it's a given, it's a definite. So you've got this wiring loom here coming off the head lining. Now I'm trying to get the head lining down out the way and get these curtain bags removed, really, so we can see what we're doing. But if you have a look at those two big plugs, actually come out of that little hole down the A-pillar, and you couldn't get them out. So I've had to pull the bolts out this side of the dash just to actually remove them. And that tells me, do you know what, guys? The dashboard has to come out before the roof lining can come out. It's a definite, because there's no way to get those plugs out. Even though I've just fiddled around and managed to get them out, you shouldn't have to do it like that. And what I've just noticed is on the driver's side, I thought that's everything off of it. It's good to come out. But it's not, because you've got, let's just get in here. It's so tight to get in here. So you've got this wiring harness now that runs all the way down the A-pillar, and you've got to unplug it and be able to get it up through that gap. So I am actually just going to start taking a few bits off the dash, remove this knee airbag, and see if I can get access to the plugs on the other side of this wire so that we can get that roof lining out. But it's definitely that roof lining has to go back in before the dashboard goes in. That goes in first. So let's get a few more bolts out and start stripping a few bits. I would have liked to have actually done a cutting a bit sooner than this and actually started. It looks like there's 2 star drives on that, and also I've got the other one out for a reference, so you can see you've got the 2 at the bottom, then there's obviously 2 10mm nuts holding it in as well. So I'm just going to continue on and see if I can get this out, because I want that roof lining and these curtain bags out of my way. They're making life so difficult to see and to work, and you guys are not going to see a thing with those in there either. So let's crack on. So now onto the knee airbag, and you need arms the size of a sparrow's legs to get up the back of here. This took me at least half an hour. There's 2 little star drives holding the cover on, and then 2 10mm holding that airbag in there, and they was an absolute nightmare to get to, but we got there with it, rolled back that curtain airbag, and now we can all see what's going on. There's one thing we will not do on this channel, guys, that is pretend to make out something is easy when it is not, and try and say it is easy. If you're going to do an airbag kit for the first time, it definitely, I wouldn't choose a Volvo. It is hard work because there's so much of it. I was fighting that long to get that roof lining out, and as you can see, this is the front end of the roof lining. These are the wiring looms that run down each A-pillar and then run down to separate fuse boxes in the car. Now, in order to get that out, it was horrendous with that in there, with those airbags. They were just 8mm. I managed to get those out, and you can see how much easier and brighter it is to get to things. But some of you are going to say, Rob, you virtually stripped the dash and you haven't actually cut in and shown that bit. But guys, I actually had to remove all of that to get those wiring looms out. So it's definitely, the dashboard needs to come out before the headlining on this car. 100%, that's definitely how they do it. Chris just had a look. He said you can see all the wiring's glued on. The wiring's actually glued to the headlining first, and then you can see all of that is fitted, which would make sense, wouldn't it? But it's just, I've had to undo all of these bolts and all of these associated little plastics to get to it. I don't mind doing it. This could turn into a 2-dayer though. I genuinely don't mind doing it. New experiences and all that, but it wouldn't be for the faint-hearted the first time on a Volvo. This car is built amazing. It's built so well. Where you would normally see one bolt in another brand, in this car you'd see 2 or 3. It's just unbelievable. Everything is nipped up. You can see why you're taking it apart, why the designer chose to do it like that. It is just fantastic. But I'm going to spin the camera back round again and show you this. It's unbelievable. Just undoing all of that, I thought, right, what's going to be the last bit there? That you can see that whole centre console and radio comes out as one bit. And I noticed there was a bolt up there and there was 2 more down there. I slid the centre console back, just two little 8mm inside here. I slid that back and look, the dashboard's ready to come out. So I'm going to find it a lot easier putting it back together, and that is purely because I'm going to put the curtain airbags in. I'm going to completely fit the roof lining, and then we'll move in and fit the dash. It's just going to be lovely getting those wires in, getting everything clipped back where it needs to be. So I've taken that's why I actually stopped the time lapse. I've actually taken a couple of pictures just so that I know where everything's located, because like I said, I've never done it before. You can see where I managed to pull that out and pull those wiring looms back down round underneath it. But yeah, I've got a couple of more pictures to take. That's for the knee airbag and that's for the light switches. So all quite self-explanatory. That one is for the stalks. I've just whipped those out. Driver steering wheel airbag, again, same as always. Little screwdriver in the back and a little clip. I did forget to mention that, guys. Doesn't matter how untidy it looks, always tape up your airbag squib once you took the steering wheel off, because we know that that's in the right position and you don't want no dramas with it. But yeah, I'm just going to get underneath, actually unplug this passenger airbag, because I know it's still plugged in. Look at the size of that. Unplug that, and then actually we got one little sensor there. Should be able to pop that out and unplug it, and yeah, we'll go from there. But I haven't even gone over to the other dash over there for any reference points, because where I've just undone them bolts, it has literally just become loose. So they're obviously all out. Let's get on with it. So round to the passenger airbag, there is just one multi-plug on there. Undo that and I think we're pretty much good to go. Right, the passenger airbag was just one big multi-plug, so let's see how we get on. I have unplugged that little sensor on top of the dash there, and I think we might need to put a bit of tape or a bit of wire on it to pull it up through to the new one. I nearly missed 2 little plugs there. The must be the temperature sensors for the aircon, the auto aircon, auto climate control, because you can see one was plugged in that side, and then that's reminded me there's one in the other side. Anything left plugged in there? Luckily that's nice and light, that dash. See the multi-plug there for the passenger airbag, and that's that little sensor wire I was just talking about. But overall, guys, really not that bad. There's the little blue one for that sensor in the dash, so that's going to be the only one that'll be a little pain. And those hooks I showed earlier in the video, that's what they hook into. And then that little loose bracket that was on that other dashboard actually stays loose. You undo it, it's just hanging on there, and I suppose that locks it home. But earlier on, that's where that wire was plugged in. See it up there, and then it had another thing in there holding it, another one further down, and then of course I've had to go underneath the carpet. So let's actually get these curtain airbags back in, and then get the roof lining back in with the wiring, and then we can move on to the dash. So now it's out, straight in with that new curtain airbag, and then back in with the roof lining. I'm going to hold this up with the light at the front, there's just 3 screws in there, and then move on to the 2 rear grab handles, put those in, it holds it in position, and then we'll move on to both front sun visors, get those plugged in, get those bolted back up, and I think that's the roof lining in, and we're now ready for the dash. And that is it. Roof lining's back in. See the wiring's running down the A-pillar, and of course this one as well. I've clipped it all back in. Just got to plug both of these plugs back in down here under the carpet, but they can be done after. We're not worried about that now. I'm going to concentrate and get this dashboard back in, because this has taken all day and there's only a couple of hours left of the day. And I always say it when you're doing an airbag kit, fit it back in while it's fresh on your mind. If you walked away from this for a month or so, you would struggle. But like I did say as well in the time lapse, it is all little 8mm and little star drives. Every single one of them star drives is exactly the same size, and they exactly the same with the 8mm. There's 2 little 7mm, the rests are all 8mm. Right, let's get that dashboard back in. I think that's going to be our only challenge. That little blue plug that comes out the centre of the dash. Just there. But we get it. We will get it, won't we? And give that a good clean before it goes in as well. Let's get on with it. We're all ready, straight in with a new dash, and you'll see me just getting that wire pulled through, and then I'll place all of those 8mm bolts roughly all in the holes, and then once I've got them all in, located them, there's none left over, I'll go around, tighten them all up, start fitting the radios and fitting the dash back up. That's all the main securing bolts back in, so you can see they're all in. The one behind the clocks is back in, that's all done. Everything here is all plumbed back up. Again, this so straightforward to get out. You had 2 screws behind this which just pulls out, and then you had 2 little screws down here that held it in, and that was it. And to move the centre console back, you had one under there, and just underneath this little cover there's 2 8mm in there. Just undo them and it literally slid back plenty far enough. It really didn't need to go that far. So I am going to continue on just putting all of the bits back together, guys. There is loads of little bits and pieces. I want to get all this back together, all underneath here, and actually get that knee airbag in, which is an absolute pain to get to the little 10mm. So I've got the 10mm nuts down there, a few screws left to do bits up. Anyway, let's carry on. I've done it, but just the seat belts left to do. And even though our day's finished, I'm not going to leave it like this. I'd really like to get it finished. And unbelievable, I just started looking, guys, look, 13mm and a 13mm down there, but these do clip onto the actual seats on this car, so I need to whip this little cover off, and I should think, actually that looks like that's got a pre-tension, or no, it's just a little clip actually, just holding it on there. So let's get them swapped out quickly while we're here. I'm happy with that, guys. Very nice achievement for the day. So just started it up, basically just check that everything's working, radio's all working, climate's all working, everything how it should be. And the only warnings we got there, look, is pedestrian protection, service required, and the airbag light. But the airbag light is not going to go out because I haven't clipped all this home for one reason, guys. Down there on the seat belt, the little plug is actually broke, but the new seat belts come with a pigtail, so I'll do that and get all that clipped up. But overall, very, very happy. It runs lovely, this, and it's still holding its water, so yeah, very productive day. Look at the state of that lot. Got a whole dash there. Knee airbag, steering wheel airbag, 2 seat belts and curtains. All in a day's work. Like I say, it's the first one I've ever done, and it's just finding the bolts, isn't it? But definitely to change the curtain airbags in the future. I know I kept saying the dashboard's got to come out before the roof lining. What I meant was to do the curtain airbags, it is a case of, and you've got to take the roof lining out. You've got to take the dash out first, because you'll never get all that wiring out. There's no way of doing it at all. So I think jobs are good, and I know it's not even that important. We need to repair the car first, but to get the luckily I managed to open all those windows today. To get the airbag set done in it is brilliant, now knowing that it's just that repair on the front and this one's going to be complete. It's actually the next morning now, guys. I could not wait to get home and jump in the shower. I don't know how I got so dirty changing an airbag kit. That was the first time I've ever done a Volvo. If I was to do it now, I'll probably do it a little bit quicker. We never timestamp anything, but it probably took me 7 hours yesterday to change that airbag kit. It was just trying to work out what's got to come out before other bits have got to come out. But the dashboard in the end turned out to be very easy to take out, and of course very easy to put back in. That's a big part of that project. Of course, you got the damage and the airbag kit. They're always massive jobs. We've this morning ordered a couple of more bits for it, so just looking for a front wing and a front panel for that car, and I think we're pretty much there with all of the parts. So unfortunately, that is going to be the end of today's video. As usual, if you did enjoy it, please do hit that thumbs up. Don't forget, you can follow us on Instagram, TikTok and Twitter. We don't add people on Twitter. I know there's been a couple of accounts where people have opened them and they're pretending to be us. Our one is actually called Salvage Rebuilds UK. There's no underscores, apostrophes or full stops in there. That is us, and there's a picture of the Bentley and the Lamborghini on there. It is not the other people pretending to be us. You can also follow Chris on Instagram at Salvage Rebuilds Chris. Like, subscribe and share, and we'll see you very soon in the next one.